Let me tell you how a single glass of champagne nearly erased me. And how I turned that very moment into the biggest revelation my toxic family never saw coming. It was my brother Tyler's 5th wedding anniversary. The kind of event where everyone dressed too fancy, lied through their perfect teeth and pretended we were one big happy American family. But don't let the string quartet and champagne fool you. That night was a ticking time bomb wrapped in candlelight and fake smiles. I stood near the back of the ballroom in a beige dress my stepmother Sharon insisted I wear. I hated it. Tight at the waist, uncomfortable at the chest, screaming, "Blend in and shut up." That's what Sharon always wanted from me, silence and invisibility. Guests were laughing, taking selfies, clinking glasses. Dad was glued to the mayor. Sharon was tossing out her fake laugh like a weapon. Tyler and his picture-perfect wife, Madison, soaked in endless praise. Me. I was barely acknowledged, just standing there holding a drink I didn't even want. Then it hit. Not drunkenness. Not even tipsiness. Something else. My limbs felt loose. My head foggy. My balance wobbled just enough to make me nervous. I set the glass down and slipped toward the restroom. I needed space. I needed to breathe. That's when it happened. A woman, late 30s, auburn hair in a no-nonsense bun, sharp eyes, stopped me near the hallway. "Are you Avery?" she asked. I hesitated. "Yeah." Her voice dropped, serious and low. "Your stepmother just put something in your drink." I froze. "What?" She pulled something from her clutch. I saw her. "Dropped it in your glass. Stirred it once. Dissolved right in. I do security for high-profile events. This wasn't an accident." My throat went dry. I already took a few sips. "How do you feel?" "Off. Dizzy." "That's enough," she said firmly. "If you can swap glasses, do it. Make it look like a mistake. But don't drink it." She handed me her card. "Elise Duran. Private security. I still have it." Heart pounding, I walked back into the ballroom. Sharon was distracted, posing for the event photographer. Her glass sat untouched, identical to mine. Quick, clean, unnoticed, I swapped them. And then I waited. 20 minutes later, my father rose to give his classic "to love, loyalty and legacy" speech. Glasses lifted. Sharon raised the one I'd placed in front of her. She looked straight at me as she sipped. Seconds passed. Her smile twitched. Her eyes narrowed. The glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. Then she swayed, collapsing mid-toast in front of 120 guests. Madison gasped. Tyler rushed forward. Waiters dropped trays. Dad shouted for someone to call 911. Sharon twitched on the floor, gasping for breath. Me. I didn't move. Because I knew that glass was meant for me. The ambulance lights painted the estate in red and blue, a slow, bleeding nightmare. Sharon foamed at the mouth by the time paramedics arrived. Everyone else was panicked, but I wasn't scared anymore. She tried to poison me. I had proof. I had a witness. And I'd watched her drink my glass. The police arrived, calm but watchful. When they asked for statements, I kept mine simple. "Not until she fell," I said when asked if I'd noticed anything. But I knew they were already piecing it together. The next morning, I sat in my tiny apartment, staring at Elise's card. My phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Jenny. "Go, you are trending." Sure enough, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. Hashtags exploding. Hashtag Clark collapse. Hashtag anniversary disaster. Hashtag what was in the glass. A viral video showed Sharon laughing, sipping, collapsing. And then the camera panned to me. Me sitting still. Me not gasping. Me not running. The comments were brutal. Why isn't she shocked? Did anyone else see that look between her and Sharon? Chilling. Honestly, chilling. But they didn't know the truth. By noon, Detective Marissa Keene called me in. Beige walls, thin folders, her fingers laced as she studied me. "We have the toxicology report," she said finally. "Okay." There was scopolamine in the glass. Small dose. Not lethal, but enough to cause confusion, dizziness, even memory loss, depending on the body's response. I didn't blink. "I believe it." "You believe it?" "Yes. Because I was supposed to drink that glass." She leaned forward. "Explain." So I did. Elise's warning. The glass swap. Everything. And when she asked why my stepmother would try to drug me, I looked her straight in the eye. Because she knows I found out the truth. Detective Keene tilted her head. "What truth?" That Sharon isn't entitled to a dime of my mother's estate. And I have proof. That got her attention. 2 months earlier, an envelope had arrived from Savannah, Georgia. A letter from my late mother's attorney. Apparently, after my mom passed, there had been a legal clause tucked away in the prenuptial agreement between her and my father. The clause was simple. If my father remarried, his new spouse was legally forbidden from receiving anything connected to my mother's assets, including investments, trust funds, or property built from them. But Sharon didn't know. Or maybe she did and thought no one else ever would. Until I found the letter. Like an idiot, I made the mistake of mentioning leverage on a phone call I thought was private. She must have overheard, or someone told her, because everything changed after that. Suddenly, I was getting invited to events I was normally excluded from. She sent me a dress for the anniversary party. Her pick, not mine. She smiled more, complimented me in front of guests. It wasn't kindness. It was bait. And she never thought I'd be smart enough to see it. Detective Keynes studied me like she was reading a locked journal. "You understand how this looks, right?" she asked. I nodded. "You swapped the glasses. Sharon drank what was meant for you. Now she's hospitalized. That's motive, Avery. That's premeditation to someone. And it's not going to stay quiet." "I didn't poison anyone," I said evenly. "I just didn't drink what was meant for me." "You're safe," she replied gently. "But if Sharon spins this, she'll make it about you. We need that letter, and your witness again." "You'll get both," I promised. The moment I left that station, I knew my life wouldn't be the same. Sharon would wake up. She'd lie. Twist it. Call me a manipulator. Maybe even claim I faked the whole thing. But the truth? The truth had already been set in motion. That night was supposed to be my silent exit from this family. Instead, it became the first chapter in my long, quiet revenge. And I was just getting started. I hadn't even made it home before the first call came. "Tyler." I let it ring twice before answering. "Avery, what the hell is going on?" "What do you mean?" "Don't play dumb," he snapped. "The police came to the house. They're asking about you, about what you knew. Did you tell them something?" I told them the truth. Silence. Then his voice dropped, low and angry. "Do you have any idea what you've done? She tried to drug me, Tyler. You don't know that." "I do. I saw it. And someone else saw it too. A security officer. Elise." He exhaled sharply, but he didn't deny it. "That told me everything." "I'm not going to be quiet anymore," I said. "You all spent years pretending I didn't exist. And when I finally get something my mother left for me, Sharon decides I should be erased. I'm telling you," his voice rose, "don't push this. You'll regret it." I hung up. The lawyer's office smelled of lemon oil and old paper. I slid the envelope across the table. Inside, a copy of the prenup clause, my mother's signature inked in strokes I'd traced 100 times with my eyes. The firm's head attorney read it in silence for 5 minutes before looking up. "This changes everything." "I know. If this goes to court, Sharon's entire financial foundation collapses. Half the houses, the cars, even her business assets, were tied to your mother's estate. She has no claim." "She knows," I said. "That's why she tried to get rid of me before it came out." He sat back stunned. "We'll need to move fast." "Do it," I told him. "I'm done letting other people decide what I'm worth." 3 days later, Sharon was released from the hospital. She didn't call. Didn't text. Instead, a legal notice arrived at my door, her lawyer accusing me of malicious defamation and deliberate endangerment. I smiled. He was scared. Good. The next family gathering wasn't supposed to be a confrontation, but I showed up anyway. At my father's estate, I walked in like I belonged because I did. Tyler's eyes widened. My father frowned like I was a stain on his carpet. Sharon entered late, pale and stiff, lips tight. When her eyes met mine, something flickered, fear maybe, but buried under years of entitlement. "Hello, Sharon," I said softly. She didn't answer. Just sat across from me. "How's your memory these days?" "Still a little foggy." My father barked. "Avery, not now." I ignored him. "That's fine. Mine's crystal clear. So is the security footage. So is the clause in Mom's prenup." Tyler slammed his glass on the table. "You're going to destroy this family." I met his gaze. "No. I'm going to expose the part that was already rotting." 2 days later, Sharon struck first. An exclusive interview in a society blog. She painted herself as the victim, blindsided by her troubled stepdaughter, claiming memory loss from a mysterious reaction, insisting I'd always resented her. She didn't mention the prenup. She didn't mention I'd nearly collapsed that night. She didn't mention Elise. No, she wanted pity. The headline read, "Sharon Clark speaks out. I was targeted by my husband's daughter." And for a moment it stung. Because people believed her. The comments were brutal. Why would Avery ruin a celebration? Jealousy is an ugly disease. Another spoiled rich kid craving attention. But I wasn't surprised. Sharon had money, charm, and friends in every Georgia committee. Me. I had a dead mother, an old envelope, and the truth. But truth doesn't shout. It waits. That night Elise called. "You saw the article?" "I did. You ready to make a move?" "I think it's time." We met the next morning. Elise handed me a flash drive, printed transcripts and footage I hadn't seen before. One clip. Sharon looking both ways before dropping something from her clutch into a champagne flute. Another. Her whispering to a server who mysteriously vanished before police arrived. It wasn't random. It was planned. "Release it," Elise said. "All of it." She made her move. "Make yours." So I did. A small, respected reporter. Someone who owed Elise a favor. Published everything. No commentary. No bias. Just raw evidence. Within 2 hours, Sharon Clark was trending again. But this time the questions were different. Why does she look so calm? Is that a pill in her hand? Why did the server disappear? The tide was turning. Then my phone rang. My father. I let it ring 4 times before answering. His voice was tired. "Avery, we need to talk." Silence. Then. "I didn't know about the prenup. If I had, things might have been different." "No," I said coldly. "They wouldn't. You let her bury me long before she tried to drug me." He exhaled. "What do you want?" "I want the truth public. I want her out of Mom's house. And I want what was always mine, with interest." Long silence. Then, "Come by tomorrow. We'll talk terms." I arrived the next morning wearing beige, Sharon's old demand. But this time it was my choice. Fitted. Clean. Confident. The house felt colder than I remembered. Sharon was gone. My father sat at the head of the table, looking like a man who realized his kingdom was built on sand. He slid a folder across the table. "You win." Inside. My mother's trust reinstated. Assets transferred. My name respected. "She's gone," he said. "Left last night." I nodded. "She ran." For the first time in years he looked at me not with anger but shame. "I should have protected you." I didn't answer. Because we both knew he hadn't even tried. The house was mine within the week. The one my mom built. The one Sharon tried to erase. I restored it. Photos back on the walls, garden replanted, every trace of Sharon scrubbed out. Then came the knock. "Tyler." He looked broken. "I need to tell you something," he said. "Then say it." She told me about the pill. Said it would just make you too out of it to talk. I didn't think she'd actually. "So you stayed silent." He dropped his eyes. "Scared of her? Or scared of losing your inheritance?" No answer. He didn't need to give one. I closed the door. Weeks passed. Sharon was dropped from nonprofit boards. Business partners pulled out. Whispers followed her everywhere. Me. I stayed quiet. No interviews. No victory speeches. Because survival itself was the loudest revenge.